Hey, how's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to another Wednesday at the King of the Attic studio. I'm hanging out tonight with Mr. Blake Foisey. You know, it's the tumor, man. Trust me, my speech is impaired sometimes, and not because I'm drinking beer either, right? So,
you never counted.
So how you doing there?
I'm doing pretty good, man.
That's good.
Haven't seen you in a long time.
Oh, I haven't seen you like
since I was a little shit.
Since you were a little shit, yes, man. Right. So, what do you want to talk about tonight?
So, I was thinking more like family stories, because we all probably have family stories about each other, like jamming out.
Well, you want to talk about Mr. Garry Kelba.
Mr. Lonnie Kelba.
And Mr. Lonnie Kelba. I'm in for that, man. Yes, I'll talk about him. What do you want to talk about?
Well, so I do see in the back right here, these are his drums.
Garry Kelba's drums.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, he was the drummer of he was the drummer of King of the Attic.
He was the drummer
long,
for
right?
30 years in King of the Attic too. Yes, those are his drums. Yes, and trust me, man, they're what, 70s Ludwigs, right?
Yep.
Yep, 70s Ludwigs, and they're really nice sounding. And I don't know if you could see because of my backdrop. Here, I'll just pull it up for a second. Yeah. You could kind of see how big these toms really are.
Yeah, they're huge.
I thought they were all floor toms at first. Right? Anyway, nice setup, nice kit.
Always.
And Garry was the drummer of King of the Attic for 30 years, and. Tell people why we're talking about him.
Well, Garry was my uncle, and he passed away about 4 years ago. He was a main inspiration. Him and my Uncle Lonnie were the real reason I got into music. Don't count on my mom, of course, because, well, always listening to the radio in the car, driving. And
Kelba's bred into her, man.
Exactly.
Come on.
Except I didn't get my mom's sleep schedule.
Grandpa's been a musician all his life, right?
Yeah,
there
exactly.
you go. Where did it all came from? Came from there.
Exactly.
Right? That was him.
Of course.
Distilled that in, and Garry and Lonnie at a young age. Right? So I'm glad that, there's worse things you could be doing or worse people you could be thinking about or idolizing or whatever. Those two guys were like, Garry was a fabulous musician. I played with him through I don't know how many renditions of King of the Attic, probably 2 at least, right?
At least a few.
Played some nice shows with them, hung out, partied. I worked with them. Oh yeah, I miss them dearly, man. Like really, I really miss them.
Me too.
And then Lonnie passed away. What, about a year or so? A couple years after?
Yeah. 2019.
And that was heartbreaking when I got wind of that. Jeez.
You know what?
Fabulous guitar player. Lonnie was a fabulous guitar player, man. Trust me. If he'd be around in this area and he was still here, he'd be smoking a lot of people right now.
100%.
Great guitar player. Same as with Garry, man.
He had the passion. They had the passion to play, right?
And Garry always played in a couple different bands, too.
Yeah.
King of the Attic was his original high-powered trio thing.
He also had Visions of 8, right?
And
or was that just Lonnie?
Lonnie for a bit.
Yeah.
But then Garry had a pile of other bands he was playing with, too, all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And he played with Trevor in a band. What was the name of that band?
Bridge 21.
Yeah. Thank you, Sandy. Bridge 21.
Yeah.
Another great band.
Oh, yeah.
And it's, it's, I wish they were both still here, kicking ass and doing their thing. And so, tell me, you got stories?
I got some stories, yeah. So, usually every Canal Days, since COVID, it hasn't been able to happen, but we'd have a Kelba jam sesh, right?
That's right, yeah.
Everybody, Trevor, Lonnie, Garry, me, Grandpa, T-Bone, he would even show up.
Yeah, T-Bone would show up,
Doug.
A lot of people.
Oh, a lot of people, and all the people were drinking, having a good time, right?
That's right.
We would all be playing good music from 70s, 80s.
With T-Bone, you were getting stuff 60s, from the 40s and
yeah,
50s.
Exactly.
60s, oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And your grandfather, they're in the same.
Hot toddies.
Yeah, that's right, the hot toddies too. Yeah, and T-Bone is still out there kicking it. Here's a story I want to tell you. I remember me and your Uncle Garry playing with T-Bone. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, and like it was funny because when we got the gig, you know, T-Bone talked to Garry, and then I talked to me, and we said, "Oh yeah," and he would T would start the song, but we wouldn't know what key he was in.
Oh yeah.
And for a while, me and Garry we called it the guessing game, right? But after a while, you get really good at it. You know his songs, and T-Bone is such a fabulous musician, and he's still out there kicking in, man. Props to him, right? I'm going to get him on my show eventually.
100%.
He's probably got a few road stories he can talk about.
Oh, more than a few, I can tell you that.
And,
I can tell you that.
I never really played in a band with Lonnie. Because Lonnie was younger than Garry, right?
By a few years.
Yeah, by a few years. So I really never played in a band.
No.
And I remember in the early days, when we were doing the King of the Attic stuff, and Lonnie was just kind of getting into it and stuff like that. He'd come around a lot. He was always around, right?
Oh, of course.
Because he had to.
He had to be in everything.
He had to be where Garry was, right? And that's and together in a band. Which band did they play together in? Mystery. That's right. Was that the only one?
Well, they played in Backstreet at different.
And
times.
Backstreet at different times. Yeah. But. It's. I think that was the only really couple bands that they played together in, and like Garry had his King of the Attic thing, and I give him props, man. He hung out for all those years, when things were tough and nobody was really doing anything.
No, exactly.
And he still hung out, and he still banged that kit.
Oh yeah.
Like what, twice a week, 3 times a week,
if not more, right? At home, if anything, too.
Yeah. And music was his life.
It was.
And he was good at it. And you know what? Everybody loved him, man.
Oh.
Like, trust me, I never met anybody that ever said that they didn't like Garf or even Lonnie.
Or Lonnie.
You know what I'm saying? They loved him, man.
And just the amount of support that when they passed away, right? Like.
Yeah, they were great guys. And for you being related to them, did any of that Kelba talent rub off on you?
Well, I will show you this right now.
Okay. What do you got there?
So, right here.
Sure you got the right one?
I'm pretty sure I got the right one. Yeah, this one's mine. Okay. So, when my Uncle Lonnie passed away, my Aunt Debbie decided to give me this guitar.
Oh yeah, let's see.
It's 1999 Telecaster.
Oh, yes.
And you know Lonnie, he didn't buy anything from China. He bought the real shit, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Even if my mom had to help pay for it.
Yeah, that's all of us. We don't want to. We don't want to copycat, right?
No, exactly.
Especially now, And that's a very nice guitar, man, and keep that forever, man.
Of course.
That's it's worth.
The sentimental value.
The sentimental value to you alone is worth more than what the guitar's worth. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and that's a great memento.
Of course, and I've always liked playing guitar, right?
Do you have an amp to plug that in?
I do not have an amp to plug it into, but who knows? Maybe if I strum it a little bit louder, we'll be able to hear it. Let's see.
Go ahead. It's good to hear the guitar being played again.
Well, yeah, I know.
How much do you play? Do you play it a lot?
I played a decent amount.
Okay.
My parents won't say I will, but I do. I practice just, in my room, when I'm doing nothing sometimes, right?
Does your mother yell and scream at you? Stop that!
No, if anything, she's saying, play louder. Play a full damn song, kid.
Yeah, that's the Kelba blood running through her, man.
Yeah,
There's no doubt about that.
No.
So, besides the guitar, anything else you want to talk about? And I love it, man.
It's
the colors
beautiful, right?
It's fabulous, dude. Yeah, really nice.
Do you have any stories about Garry? Some stories that we shouldn't be telling, but...
well, I can't tell those stories, right? I could say, You know, I met Garry when he was really young.
Yeah.
And because I'm like 5 years older than him, and you know, I met him when he was young, and you know, I knew he played drums and he was doing his thing and stuff like that. How I really got to know him is when I was working at Essex back in the 70s with our good buddy Joe.
Right.
And your grandfather was the
foreman, right?
Foreman, anyway, right? And that's how I really got to know him, because I used to ride after Joe, I rode with Garry, and we used to ride in Gary's van, in the morning, yay, riding all the way to Dunville, right? You know, either half asleep, we were young, right? Stuff like that. Oh yeah, those are great times. I remember playing great shows with them. You know, King of the Attic played some great shows with him. You know, we played at Patty Green's, the Dukes. Those are great shows. And some of that's on video someplace. Chris has probably got it in the vault, because Chris won't throw anything away, right?
No.
So he's probably got it in the vault. Hopefully, maybe we can get some of that hooked into this video.
Well, yeah, of
that
course.
would be pretty cool too, right?
Garf wants to say something.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Garf speaking.
How's everybody doing tonight? Not very good, I guess. This next song here, it's called Be My Girl. 20 years ago today, I asked a certain lady to be my girl. And she said, yeah, she's put up with me, my long-haired rock and roll friends, and my short-haired punk hockey player friends, and Chris knocking spoons off the wall, and us not getting home till 10 o'clock or the next Tuesday and stuff like that. So this song's for you, Reese. Got a little something for you.
Yeah, this is called Be My Girl. Now we're just gonna wait for Garf. Oh, he's giving her flowers. Oh, what it is! Yeah, Garf! Oh!
What do you think, Lisa? Come on!
I knew I had a bit of clear in him.
I told you I'd make a man out of him.
Yeah, he told me last night, man. Thanks for Vaseline.
It'll Be My Girl. Joe will remember this one. It's probably one of the oldest songs dates back to the 60s.
Joe can't remember from yesterday.
just like a typical guitarist, can't throw anything away. Just ask Lonnie, if he was still here, what he couldn't throw away. Just the amount of shit that he had.
Yeah, I know. He had a lot. He had a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
right?
he did.
And
he only had a quarter of the stuff than what Garry had.
Yeah, that's true.
But a lot of musical stuff.
Yeah.
Too. And the badges and all that stuff, and it's it's
they'll always be in our hearts. Right?
Yeah, I'll just because that's who he was, man.
Yeah.
That was his thing, and that's what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And about his drumming, he was, trust me, man, he was a fabulous drummer. His timing was impeccable, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was usually always there, right? 99.99% of the time he was there.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about him, right?
Of course, he was always.
And if you had to fix something, we'd fix it on the go.
Yeah.
And then he was good. He was good at drummers. Some drummers, they got to learn to fix their problems if they have a problem. And good drummers could do it, right?
And he always took criticism, and he never said a bad word about
No,
anybody.
that's exactly it. He always good to everybody. Anything else you want to talk about, Blake, before we move on here?
I wouldn't be too sure if I do be completely honest, but I was gonna say a little bit about what I play, just from the musical standpoint.
Yeah. What are you into?
So I've been playing a lot of stuff that my Uncle Garry and my Uncle Lonnie would like. So I got some Foreigners, some Dire Straits, Rush.
Oh, yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I know you guys like to play Foreigner, wasn't it?
We used to do Foreigner. Yeah. We
Yeah.
I play Dirty White Boys.
Oh, that's a good
with
one.
Ian and Mental Floss that were supposed to be on the show tonight, but circumstances beyond my control. That'll be on a different show coming up down the road, right? But I could talk about those two all day.
For hours, exactly.
For hours and hours and hours. I could talk about those two because there's so many great stories, but we'd have to do a 2-hour show.
Exactly.
But I'm
If
not saying
more.
that's out of the picture. Well, maybe one day
Exactly.
we do a special. But anyway, anybody you want to shout out to, Blake?
Well, I'd like to say a big thank you to my mother for putting up with everything and all that she's been going through. That you deserve the world, Mom, and I can never express enough gratitude for what I mean to you. I'd like to say a big thank you to my Auntie Lisa for always believing in me as well. My dad, my brother, everybody in the family, right? Because they all believe in me.
Good,
and they all want the best for me.
Well, yes. That's being they want you to know that you're covered with a lot of friends, man. There's a lot of people out here, right?
I know. I don't even just have family. I have
That's
friends
exactly,
as well,
man.
right?
You think of us like that.
Of course.
Me, Ian, and Chris. Think of us always like that, man.
Of course. Chris actually helped tone this guitar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a couple months ago.
You took it over to his house and tuned it
I
up
really
there?
thank him for that too.
Right on. So you know what? I wanna thank you.
Of course.
Thank you for coming on the show, man. I really appreciate it. Right. Thanks to Blake for coming on the show and talking about Mr. Garry Kelba, Mr. Lonnie Kelba. They're not here anymore, but
they're always being here. They'll always be in here.
Yes. And I want to tell you about what's happening in the next couple weeks on Rock Talk with Rick. And still, if you're a band or you're a musician and you want to do some live stream or some recording, King of the Attic Studios where you need to be. You can put people in here, watch your live stream, do whatever, right? You can get a hold of Chris at kastudio@kojiko.ca. If you want to get onto my show, Rock Talk with Rick, which we're still taking bands, like I said before, it doesn't matter if you're rock, country, blues.
Don't matter.
It doesn't matter to me. If you want to get on the show, give me a ring-a-ding at rocktalkwithrick@gmail.com. Good night. We'll see you later.